Hi, it's Gail with Traders Help Desk, and this is Sunday, June 28th, 7:19 a.m. And we're actually going to do the market overview this morning. And we're going to start on gold. Now, right now, gold is in a congestion area on the 45-minute chart. And you can see that no buyers have come in. So we may come back down and make another low. But the important thing on gold is that we just had a magenta peak on the 720-minute chart, where also this area here that you see with the tan line also serves as a daily area of support for gold. So I am expecting gold to go up. It will need to break through this green line, and then normally it will come back and test that. Now, once it comes back to test this area, we do want to make sure that we have seller's divergence, and then it will continue up to about 1187.5 as I have it right now. Then down on crude, you can see that we're at a double area of resistance, these two green lines. We also have congestion on the 720 and the 1440. So we could come back down to this ATR. And when it gets down to the ATR, we need to analyze the seller's volume to see if we have divergence. If we do, then it would go up and test this area. Now, if we do not have divergence at this ATR, then we could actually come all the way down to 5712, which is a congestion dot on the daily. Then if we go over to the Dow Jones, we are in a congestion area on the 1440 as well as the 720. So it has pulled back almost to this tan line, and it did so on the verging selling volume. So I'm actually expecting the Dow to go up this week. Now, to go up, it will need to break this ATR that is representative of the 180-minute chart. Again, once it breaks the ATR, it will come back and test for support. You actually see that concept here where it flips the ATR, then it will come back to test it. That same scenario will play out on the 180, and it is the retest that I am interested in. If we have divergence on the retest of the ATR, then that tells us to take a long position. Then over on the S&P 500, very similar scenario. We are in congestion on the 1440 and the 720. Now, I would anticipate right now, because there's been no buying volume, that it would come back and try to test this congestion dot before it continues up. It may even hit 2080 or 2073 before it decides to turn and go up. Again, these are the key levels here where you would need to read the volume to make sure that there are no sellers and that these lines will support an increase in price. Then on the Nasdaq is slightly different. We are not in a congestion area on the 1440. In fact, we just flipped the 1440 and it's coming back to test the ATR now. Now, as it has come back to test these ATRs on the daily chart, we're not seeing any selling coming in. That is normally indicative that we will go up. Additionally, on the 720, this line here represents a congestion dot that is on the 720. You can see that, we're not getting a lot of selling volume in there. So I would anticipate it to flip the ATR on the 180. Now, could it come back and test this? Yes, it could before it decides to go up. This is typical price behavior. And then on the Swiss franc, you can see that we are in congestion on the 45-minute. We are at a daily ATR. We are also in congestion on the 720. Right now, it's making its way back up to test this tan line at 0862. The only thing that is in the way of that is this green line. And you can see as it approached this green line in the ATR, you had buyers decreasing. Normally, that is indicative that they're going to come back and test this again. So that is what we would be looking for. Let's go over to the euro. Now, the euro, the Greek is expected to default, according to the IMF. So we could see, a very, very strong move in the euro this week because the deadline for them to pay back the first installment of the loan is on the 30th as it stands right now. They're not going to be able to do that. The euro is at an area that could support an increase in price. What I'm failing to see right now is any indication that it would actually go up. In fact, it may come down to 11.13, and then we would need to analyze the volume. As it stands right now, you don't see a lot of selling volume coming in on the higher time frames. But again, that could be because a lot of traders are standing aside until we have the decision on the euro and the Greece issues. Now, right now, as it stands, we have come back to this ATR on the 45-minute chart, and no buyers have come into this market. That would be indicative that we may see another low on the euro, at least to 11.13. Then on the British pound, what we have is prices making its way back to the ATR. Now, sellers have not really come into this market, so we may not get back to the ATR. The ATR is at 56.17. We've missed it. The lowest point was 56.47, so we've missed it by about 30 or 40 pips. The 720 is actually making its way back to the ATR, which is at 58.30. You can see that line here on the, here on the British pound. So as you can see, this is coming back to this ATR. There's not been a huge increase in buyers, so we could come back and test these levels before price actually increases. Now on the 180, the ADX is at 60, so we know that we are anticipating a magenta peak on that one. So this is one that I would be watching. Over on the Aussie dollar, you can see that we're at an ATR. There's absolutely no buying right now in the Aussie. We do have a congestion dot down here at 75.75. The only thing that could potentially push this up is a magenta peak on the 180, which would push it back to this green line. In order to get there, it will need to flip this ATR. It will come back and test the ATR, and only then would you get an entry if we have diverging volume. Now, the other currency that I want to look at this morning would be the Canadian dollar. And the Canadian dollar is in congestion on the 1440. It has also tested the ATR on diverging volume. So I'm expecting the Canadian dollar to actually increase in price. Now, on the 180, we do have a congestion area as well. As it has come back to that congestion area, there has been a decrease in buyers. You can also see that here on the 45-minute, buyers are decreasing. I would expect them to come back and try to test this ATR before it continues upwards. And that's all for the market review this week. I hope you enjoyed it and have a wonderful week in trading.